Now, the rest of the story.
Alright, welcome back to the rest of the story. We're out here doing something that you don't traditionally see us do in August, but we're out here in the soybean field spraying again. And the person that's to blame is currently sitting in the driver's seat.
Yep, it's my fault.
Yep, it's Andrew's fault. Alright, Andrew, what are we doing?
Well, I can tell you what we're not doing.
Running down rows?
Well,
Creating yield? I can go on and on.
you know what we're not doing? Is we're not spraying weeds.
That's true. There are no weeds out here except for a little volunteer corn right there that already got... That's dying.
Yeah. No. Why are we not spraying weeds this time, Travis?
It's because of the soybeans that are, dicamba.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we've had excellent success with dicamba, and I can tell you, for being an applicator and an agronomist, it's nice having a product that you know without a shadow of a doubt will kill the weeds out there. I'm not saying that there aren't any issues with dicamba in different parts of the country, but it is an excellent product up here, and it's so nice having these clean fields that look like this.
Yeah, because the first 2 years that you worked with us, it was pretty much a non-stop battle all summer, hoping that the soybeans are going to stay clean.
Yeah.
So what are we spraying though? Because we're obviously not spraying for weeds.
No. So I'll stop so I can talk. And
yeah, we're not going to run over any crops.
Yeah. So what we're spraying today is a product called Miravis Neo. It's from Syngenta. It's a new product on the market. They've had excellent luck with TrivaPro the past couple years, and this is just kind of possibly an even better product than TrivaPro. Some of the data that they have on it, they have limited data because it's a newer product, but some of the data shows upwards to 7 bushel increase on beans. And there's very few products on the marketplace that can do that. You know, you can get a bushel here, a bushel there. Really hard to see just a single bushel or two on the yield map. 7 bushel, we should be able to see that on a yield map.
And how are we spraying to really show that? We're not doing the whole strips. We did just literally one pass across the field.
Yeah.
So we're hoping to see a very clear line when we go to harvest at the upper side of the strip and the lower side of the strip.
Yeah. Where some fields were sprayed in Iowa a couple weeks ago, we're already seeing the difference as early as 6 days after the application.
Really?
Now, the one thing about this, I'm doing, I actually loaded for 40 acres, or just did 11 acres here on your farm. And the remainder of the product I'm taking to a few other farms because we want lots of good data to use. This is some of the best beans around. These beans look fantastic. There's no nutrient problems. There's really not much for disease out there. There's a few bugs, but that's about it. So this trial on this farm is going to tell us when we have top end yielding beans, which from previous history we know that the beans yield very well here. So on top yielding beans, can we get an even bigger bump? Some of the trials I'm going to do next are going to be on some beans that are deficient, some beans that are shorter, planted later, different varieties of beans, and we're going to see if we can get a yield bump in those certain circumstances. Because the goal is we want to find something that gives you a return on the money. If we don't see a yield bump here, we just did 10 acres, we didn't lose a lot of money, and we learned something. If I see a yield bump here and don't see a yield bump in the later trials, well, I know that what we did here works really good in these weather conditions on high yielding beans. So that's what we're trying to find out. So the Miravis is the one product in the tank. Again, it's a fungicide. It's designed to keep these plants healthy, help them resist disease, help them regulate water, and overall you'll see a healthier plant at the end of the season. We know that happens from other fungicides we used in the past. The other product in the tank is Coron by Helena. We were given this product to do a trial with. We're actually adding nitrogen to the beans through foliar feeding. That's something that we know from experience we got to be careful with because beans create their own nitrogen. They nodulate themselves, and sometimes if you give the beans too much nitrogen, they won't create those nodules, won't nodulate, won't create as much nitrogen, and you can see the effects of that in the corn crop the following year. Yeah. So the beans are already nodulated, they're nodulated very well. I think that the nitrogen in this standpoint, seeing that we're not expecting a lot of rain the next couple of weeks, is really going to increase the pod fill, and it's going to help the plant have the nutrients, because typically plants need water to bring nitrate nitrogen into the plant. And so without without as much water being there, this might give us an increase. We don't know. We have to do trials to really see what happens. But historically speaking, with data from Coron in the past, on high yielding beans, you'll see a difference.
I say, and I don't know if we've mentioned it in the past, but Coron is what we actually put on our corn crop too, and you really did see a little bit of an increase in the plant health after we got done spraying the corn.
Yeah, I think the biggest difference on the corn crop that we saw with Coron, which it's 25% foliar safe nitrogen with a little bit of boron. The biggest difference we saw with that is we did a lot of uneven corn with that, and we saw it really even out the corn.
Yep.
I don't really expect Coron in those circumstances to work well on corn without a deficiency. Your phone's ringing.
Yeah.
But where we had deficient corn, we really saw a difference there. A lot of corn was planted in wet conditions this spring. It was far from ideal conditions for hardly any corn to be planted, and the roots just weren't able to develop as quickly. The Coron helped with that.
And this stuff is really improved compared to what it looked like not even less than a month ago, where this is actually the first stuff we planted, first part of May. I think it was like the 4th of May, and for the stuff to look, the soybeans to look as nice as they do now, for the conditions we planted them in and for how they looked the first month that they were coming out of the ground, I'm really impressed. I mean, I don't think any of us are feeling too great about the soybean crop there for a while.
No. Is that the earliest you've planted beans?
Yes, that's the first time we planted them before any corn at all, and I think it was May 4th to May 7th, 8th.
Yeah,
I think so.
I think I looked on the cloud account from your planting monitor. I think it was May 1st.
Was it?
That you planted the beans here. Yep. And
yeah.
then we got rained out.
Yep.
You planted these. It was wet when you planted. We knew there was rain coming, and we had a conversation about that. And I actually felt comfortable with you planting them because we knew rain was coming. We didn't have to worry about the cross and different things right away. And then I think it was about a week later. So May 1st these were planted, and then you finished planting your beans on the other farm probably about a week later.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
Yeah, but this is high yielding ground. It's high management. We came through on these beans and put a product called Orbix on, which is a foliar feed.
Mm-hmm.
When we did our second application for the final weed pass, and it's turned out really well, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm interested to see how this actually responds putting this stuff on, because you gotta do trials. It's something we are gradually starting to get into more and more doing, but we're set up for it. And like you said, the crop is definitely there, that even with what we're putting down, we should see something if the product works as advertised.
Yeah. Well, the yield monitor is the key for any of this.
Yeah.
We want to learn. Every farm is different. We want to learn what the ground that you have, with the fertility level you have, and the hybrid you choose, how they respond to some of these different products. Sometimes we don't see much of a response, and I'd never judge anything by the first time you try it. But if you don't have a response, and some of the other farms that we try things on, I see similar results, then I know, hey, this doesn't work under these circumstances.
Yep.
It's all about trials, and with the market and commodity prices the way they are, really the only way to overcome low market prices is by having the bushels out there off every acre. So being really efficient with what we have, really managing our crop inputs to only be putting down what's going to give you a return on investment. That's how you be profitable farming anymore.
Yeah, and we actually dropped the population by 20,000 seeds per acre this year, and we were, hindsight's 2020. Maybe it's not so bad now.
You were wondering about that.
That month or so when the crops looked terrible, I was really kicking myself, thinking I chose a really poor year to drop the population down. But all you guys can see behind us, I mean, the soybeans, they really filled out, they bushed out. They are potted heavy. Like, that's one big thing we've noticed this year, is just the amount of flowers that we're seeing and the amount of pods that are already filling out on these plants.
Yeah.
All right, well, thanks to Andrew for doing another ride-along talking video again. We got to get going because you got more trials to put in.
I do, and then we actually have some Prevent plant to go spray later today. So.
Really? How much of the Prevent plant do you know of that's in Southwest Wisconsin, in the area?
There's really not that much. There's a little bit, but the guys that have Prevent plant, I I could say either we're waiting on a custom planter to come in, or they run a tremendous number of acres and just couldn't cover any. For the most part, I would say we had at least a dozen really good planting, or not good, but good enough planting days by June 1st, by the prevent plant cutoff date, that guys could get their crops in the ground. So it was, if guys had their own planter, they were able to get the plants in the ground, unless they're running 10,000 acres, something like that.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in, riding along. Well, I guess not so much riding along, but listening to the technical talk. So thanks for tuning in. Take care. Take it easy. Keep in touch, and we'll talk to you guys later. Bye.